Yo, yo, yo. You know what it is? It's another episode of the Cannabruhz podcast. Let's get it. Bow.
Welcome to the show, welcome to the show. Here to give you knowledge that you didn't know. Put you on some game, now you got a buzz. You are now listening to Cannabruhz.
Today we're gonna go ahead and go into a few topics that I am very excited about. You got the one and only Corey Millsap, aka the dopest EA, here today, filling in for my brother from another mother, Jarrell. And of course, we got who?
Seawall.
The producer here. Hey, let's go ahead and hop right into it. It's time to put you on game. All right. So, my brother from another mother, my fellow Cannabruhz, Jarrell, has been giving big shout outs to some amazing brands, black owned brands. We talking about Cannaline. We talking about Native Black. We talking about Kenny Cottrell, Chris Johnson, Antoine Mordican. These amazing brothers doing big things. But what I want to talk about today in honor of Black History Month and in honor of just the minorities out there grinding is I want to talk about these social equity uh, applicants and social equity license holders, right? I've talked to a few people, just telling them about the constraints in the industry. And I'm like, yeah, man, these social equity applicants and license holders, man, they're struggling. They're like, what the hell is a social equity license holder? What is like? I've never heard of that before. Or, oh, that shit is real. It exists. I thought that was a myth. I thought people were just joking around when they said this.
Hey, I said that yesterday.
See, man, I wasn't trying to put you on blast, bro. I wasn't trying to put you on blast. That man, hey, stop self snitching.
Dry snitch on my own ass.
Oh man, look, Carter gonna be the one in court. They're gonna be like, oh, we have these transcripts here. So what a social equity license holder is or just what social equity is or the purpose of it is it's designed to address past injustices in the industry. And what it does is prioritizes licenses for those impacted by the war on drugs. So that includes minorities, low income individuals, anybody or any individuals with previous cannabis convictions. And the goal is to help them get established in this market, in this cannabis industry, so they can succeed. But despite the good intentions, many of these license holders and social equity applicants are facing significant challenges within the space. And so I want to get into many of these challenges that is impacting these individuals. And let's talk about just the real world, man. Because I know many states many states glorify their social equity program, but that's like the tip of the iceberg. Behind the scenes, many of these license holders and applicants are being taken advantage of, or they're, having to fight 10 times as hard as their counterparts that have already been established in the industry or in the space just to get an inch, just to try and compete in the marketplace. So the number one thing I want to start with is access to capital. So in the cannabis industry collectively has access to capital issues, right? Or issues accessing capital. Just because cannabis is a Schedule One substance, or marijuana, quote unquote, is a Schedule One substance, and so what that means is it has no medical benefit, and it has high use of abuse or high risk of abuse, right? Which we know both of those aren't true, but That's how they're classifying it. And so many of the federal banks, many of the federal institutions aren't going to support, or they're not supporting the industry because it's a risk. And they're like, we don't want to be a part of we don't want to be a part of um the drug industry. Of course, we talked about reefer madness before and all that. If you don't know about reefer madness, look it up. It's a real thing. They made a whole movie about it. It's crazy. I want to give you some analogies that we can utilize to pretty much just summarize what's going on, so it makes sense. So as we talk about access to capital, I want to talk about the mixtape hustle in the world. So imagine you're an artist, you just dropped your debut mixtape, right? Carter, we talked about self snitching, right? So what we're gonna call it? We're gonna call it the producer is dropping a new album called "Don't Self Snitch" out there. It's coming soon to the streets, right? So he just dropped his debut mixtape in the world, and he's needing a record label, right? And we're gonna use the record labels as traditional banks, right? Well, the record labels won't give him any time of day because, hey man, you ain't well established, bro. You a underground rapper. We don't know you. Who you know? Like, how are you affiliated? Oh, you just represent yourself? Well, now his journey to fund his mixtape hustle is a struggle, right? He's going he's going from station to station. Hey, will you play my music? Will you give me a shout out? Hey, well, look, you're not a big, super big, conglomerate record label, but hey, man, please, can you fund my project just so I can compete, right? And on the mixtape side, you gotta revert to slanging out your trunk, right? You gotta. Hey, look. I got these mixtapes right here. It's a banger, bro. Hold on, just hold on. Look, just listen to this track real quick. Listen to this track real quick. And on social media, hey, look, them YouTube shorts, them IG, um, you gotta be creative, and that's how many of these social equity applicants are. They're having to be creative to get access to this capital, and that's the big thing. They're having to always be on the grind, always be on a hustle to fund their business when their counterparts have access. And I'm not saying everybody has access to these call them whales that have access to all this money, but many of these businesses that are thriving have either relatives that have a 401k, or they have some type of retirement set aside that they're willing, or they have um
A trust fund.
a trust fund, or family friends that are willing to invest into them so that they can succeed, while many minorities don't have that. They don't have that that luxury of having generations. And that's when they say generational wealth, that's what they're talking about, where the previous generation is looking out for the current generation, or the upcoming generation, and so on and so forth. Many minority individuals don't have that, and so the access to capital is a big problem.
I was born in the wrong family.
Yeah, I mean, it's facts. Carter, hey man, look, that's why y'all doing your mixtape hustle, man.
You went to the band trip to New York, right?
I did, and
Did you go into that alley with that mixtape guy?
I did, I did. He's like, it was me. It was like, I think it was me, you, and Terrell, man. He was like, "Yo, I got this mixtape." So I was what, we were like 16. Yeah, we were like 16, 17, and he said, "Hey man, look, I want to show y'all this, right?" And us being our little naive selves, followed his butt into this alleyway. And he's like, "Yo, open trench coat. I got this mixtape." He's like, "I got this mixtape, right?" And I'm like, "Yo, dope." Now again, I was like, "Yo, we about to get this for free?" Like, "Yo, appreciate it. I'm gonna bump this thing." He's like, "No, man, it's $10." Oh.
And you know what we did? We gave him $10.
He tactically acquired that $10 and left us.
Hey, we're alive, so it's a win.
Oh, but yeah, let's talk about the complex regulatory environment for cannabis, right? So cannabis is it's not regulated like anything else that's on the market. It's not regulated like alcohol. It's not regulated like tobacco. It's not regulated like anything in the FDA. It has its own set of rules. So, um, this is the analogy I'm gonna give. It's like a streetwear pop-up shop in different cities, right? So each city has its own regulations. Each city has its own, local laws. And it's the key is understanding the unique laws in each city so you don't get shut down, right? That's the big thing. Okay, I need a permit here. Okay, I'm gonna get this permit. But in this city over here, I don't need that permit. Or in this state over here, I gotta have 5 permits to do this one thing. And so that's the same thing as far as the cannabis industry. You've heard me and Jarrell say it several times. It's not a cannabis industry in itself, it's multiple cannabis industries infused together. And each industry has its own state law, local law, or city law, local law, town law. And you got to be able to comply with all of those. So, same with, again, if you got your hustle, Carter's out here trying to sell stop self snitching shirts. and it's different in Dallas than it would be in Fort Worth, right? It's different in, we out of Texas, y'all, so I'm gonna use Texas cities. It's different in San Antonio than it would be in Houston, right? It's all different. So that's something that many social equity license holders are facing. And then on top of that, you got property, zoning, and real estate issues. So it's like, uh, no, you can't be in any type of residential area selling that devil's lettuce, right? Carter, you can't be in a residential area selling these mixtapes, right? There's zoned off areas specifically that you can sell that product. And so finding the right spot to open your for them to open their business is extremely difficult. Um it's like it's like trying to open a barbershop in an area that's being gentrified. Like think about that, right? You got a black owned, brown owned barbershop, right? You don't see those cultural like, hey, you know, I'm gonna give you a fade. You see sports clips, and um, man, what where you get your hair cut at, Carter?
I cut my own hair, actually.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Hey, man, that's what's up, bro. That's fine. I really didn't know that.
It saves me $30.
See, hey, that's why he out here promoting that stop self snitching, bro. He a self promoter, self grinder right here, self ambition. But what are some of those barbershops that people use? Like sports clips, you got what?
I don't even know. I'm not even in that game anymore.
Hey man, I gotta give you that respect. Cause I don't even know, I don't know sports clips, man. I'm giving sports clips a lot of love right now, huh? They getting a lot of a lot of promo. Uh But you don't see dynamic haircuts. You don't see iconic fades. You don't see spelled EYE for the eye, right? Iconic fades. You don't see the trendiest, the silk the barber. You don't see those in gentrified areas, right? And so it's the same thing when it comes to many of these social equity applicants. They're trying to figure out, where can I place my dispensary, or where can I open up my cannabis business when I'm in a community that doesn't look like me, but I'm trying to service these individuals at the same time so I can succeed, right? That's a challenge. And they don't want to get pushed out by the community, right? So they gotta it's a lot harder to comply. And then let's talk about market saturation, man. Bruh. So we running a race, and you get, let's say we're running the mile and you get a 3-lap head start.
Because I'm white.
I mean, you said it. But for real though, it's like, and I don't want to say the mile. Let's say a marathon. We run a marathon and you get a 30-minute head start, and then it's like, all right, boom, go. But how am I going to compete? How do I have a chance to beat you, or even to even compete with you when you got a 30-minute head start?
You really can't. Unless it's a slow ass runner.
You, and I'm glad you said that, because that's the thing. Many of our counterparts of different ethnicities out there, right? They may not have benefit. They may not actually have access to capital and funding, right? But they still got that 30-minute head start. And even if they're slow runners, they still got that head start. Man, bro, what is he doing? Boy, if y'all stop tearing that dog toy up, I'm just like crinkling like eating a bag of chips over here. So let's go back to Carter, aka the producer, um, trying to make it in the spotlight, man. Like he's not gonna get the airtime that everybody's getting. You know what I'm saying? He's not gonna get the spotlight that, let's say, a burner is gonna get. Right? He's not gonna get that same spotlight. So he has to fight just to get a glimpse of the spotlight that the mainstream artist is gonna get. And so it's like, as a social equity,
That fool brought it back in.
he brought it.
Oh,
You don't lost your toy privileges.
little punk ass. Oh, this is all going into the recording.
But yeah, man. So it's like, as a social equity license holder, how do you get that spotlight? How do you spotlight your brand when so many other brands have already had the chance to get established? Like, it's difficult. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. Like, let's be real. Many of the big brands out there that are owned by minorities are NBA players, football players. There's some type of athlete
Or
or
celebrity.
celebrity or actor that's aligning with other people. How many brands can you think of, like the Cannalines, like the Native Black Farms, right? How many brands can you really think of that aren't affiliated with any type of celebrity? You got to really think about that. Hold on, let's just take a second. You got to really think about that, man. And that's the challenge. Like, cookies is gonna pop up way so like instantly compared to biscuits. I'm sorry, I laugh at my own jokes, but that was funny, because they call cookies biscuits in England. So he just got that.
So stupid.
But look, I got my brand biscuits that I'm really trying to grow, right? I've been putting in that work. I've been grinding. I've been doing everything I can. I've been doing pop-ups. I've been doing so on and so forth. I've been doing my little, hey man, um, um, you give me a shout out, I give you a 75% discount. Just show me some love, right? Just show me some love. And naturally when someone asks, "Hey, bro, so what's some good cannabis brands you think of?" Right, the mainstream person. I'm not talking about the connoisseurs and entrepreneurs out there that really understand their strains. Right, I'm talking about the people that drink Starbucks. I'm talking about the people that um like their niche.
The
Not
you talking about the basics?
yeah, I'm talking about not niche, but I'm talking about the people that just understand. They don't understand a lot about the product, right? So it's like when I say like name a coffee brand, right? Starbucks comes to mind, right? So when I say like name a cannabis brand, you going cookies is going to pop up there, right? You're not going to hear about biscuits. You're not. And how hard do I have to work to even get mentioned in the name sentence as cookies?
And probably it's $1,000.
Like, it's you gonna mess around and be one of their franchisees getting bullied. That's what you're gonna be. Hey, bro, I'm rocking with biscuits. Look, why don't we just, we in America. Why don't we just franchise biscuits and you just become a cookies retail? All right. Now sell these products right here. Now that you signed that contract, we about to do a concert in your store. um
Another one.
Right. So let's keep it going. Let's keep going. So now, so you got all that. On top of that, you got the complexity of the industry and all the costs that go into operating inside this industry. Right. So now imagine the producer over here is doing a sneaker raffle, right? And the entry fee, so sneakers like shoes, right? Right. He's a sneakerhead. Um, the entry fee is extremely, extremely expensive, right? Because these are high quality shoes. But the payoff is you get exclusive access to a limited edition pair, right? So using this analogy, this is talking about, you got to pay to get an application, right? You got to pay a lot of money in many states to get an application. And there's no guarantee that you'll get approved for this application. But you get approved and you mentally survive this daunting application process, then you get a chance to potentially win this to win the license in this lottery. So think about it. It's a sneaker raffle. It's a sneaker raffle, and you gotta pay a lot of money to get into this raffle, and to win is you get the limited edition pair of sneakers, right? These are the cool.
One on ones?
Yeah. Look, I don't know sneakers like that, but you get the cool gray retro Jordan
AirPods.
Air 5s. Yeah, right? So look, you pay us $1,000 and you might get you that shoe, right? So, like many of these license holders, they put a lot of money and time into the application. They get so let's talk about Antoine, right? So Antoine with Native Black Farms put a lot of time, energy, and money into this application for the state of Alabama, right? And then they were only taking 12 cultivations. So imagine there's 50 businesses that applied, right? And they're only taking 12. And of the 12, because keep in some information I didn't share with y'all, less than 2% of the cannabis space is black, right? And I'm sure when you throw in our brown brothers and sisters in there, it's either equal or either a little bit of.
It might be 3.
Yeah, it might be 2.5%. It's not even 3, 2.5%, right? It's not a lot, man.
It's not.
It's really not a lot, right? So factor that 2.5% into a industry that's dominated by people that don't look like you. It just it's very complex, and you spend all this money and you don't get it, then how does that work, right? Yeah. So and then like think about it. You win this license, you get it, but do you have the knowledge to even run the business? Right? So you did all this work just to get the license. You got the location, you got all that stuff, you got it all granted to you. Now, do you know how to run a business? Just a basic business. Do you understand the necessities of running this business?
Do you know payroll?
Do you know payroll? You know the belt. We always talk about the belt. Having a baker and banker, not a baker, banker, an accountant, insurance, a lawyer, and someone that understands the tech side, social media, all that stuff. What you laughing about?
And a baker for the biscuits.
And right. And see that biscuit analogy works. hashtag
It did for that one.
hashtag biscuits. Um, but yeah, man. So it's like, all right, I want to start this food truck for biscuits, right? Now biscuits is gonna be an infused line that and we're mobile, right? So we're gonna start out in this little food truck, right? And we're gonna set up shop. You know, of course, we got all the other constraints that I talked about, right? But we got approved, right? So we're gonna set up shop. All right. So how do we grow from this food truck into a actual restaurant, right? Or do we want to grow? Do we have a plan to grow? Do we have an exit strategy? Do,
Some people like being the food trucks
Hey,
versus
and there's nothing wrong with that.
no.
But how do you compete? And do you have the knowledge, or do you know how to get the knowledge from the people that can give you that expertise to work alongside you so that you can succeed, right? So and that's a big thing. And that's where the challenges of scaling and operating your business, as well as having that education and training so that you can succeed. There's a lot of I want to give a special shout out to Ernest Tony and BIPOC Can, man. They take the time, they got grants from the state of Colorado so they can help educate minorities in the community, right? They put that time in, and then they help give grants out to these individuals. And I want to say a couple. I want to say this. There was a gentleman that I met. He got a grant for $25,000, and I asked him. I said, "Okay, so do you have a budget for this $25,000?" This is a real story. And he said, "Yeah, a part of us getting this 25,000 is we had to create a budget." And I said, "Okay, so are you on budget?" And he's like, "No, I'm not on budget." I said, "Okay, all right, and it's understandable. That happens, right? All right, well, how much over budget are you?" And he's like, it was just pause. It was just, man, I'm in over $200,000. Oh my god! And he just, and that was, it was just silence after that. He's like, "I need help. Look, I have this shop open. I need help, but I don't have a lot of capital to do it." And on top of all that, we got taxation. We got the city tax, sales tax, excise tax, state tax, and then you have federal tax. And on top, when I say federal tax, meaning 280E, which says that if you're trafficking a Schedule 1 or Schedule 2 substance, which cannabis is a Schedule 1, you are not allowed to utilize any of the ordinary and necessary expenses and or write off any utilize any credits that a normal business can use. So all these expenses that you just incurred, right? All the promoting, all that stuff, right? You can't even write it off. And they're going to tax you. They're going to tax you on your gross income. So, all right, I'm gonna leave y'all with this example, and then I'm gonna hop off because y'all been listening very carefully for the last 42 minutes, and I appreciate it. So, all right, we got we got cookies, and we got biscuits, right? Two stores. Now let's imagine biscuits is a hemp infused product line, and cookies is marijuana, right? And how the federal government classifies it is 0.3% delta 9 THC, dry weight THC, right? If y'all need to know what that means, we'll talk about it on another episode with either somebody that is a chemist or stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that. But you biscuits makes $100,000. Cookies makes $100,000. Biscuits spends $40,000 in expenses. Biscuits is left with $60,000, right?
Okay.
Based off of you're being taxed, and I'm just gonna make up numbers, right? Just so it makes sense. Let's say you're being taxed at 20%, right? Well, uh if your expenses were $40,000, right, you're left with 60. Is that what I said? $40,000 expense, right? So you're left with 60, right? So then that's $12,000, or your effective tax rate, right? It's $12,000 of the 60, right? All right. So now let's say you made $100,000 with cookies, right? But you sell marijuana, you sell recreational products, right? Your same expenses were $40,000, right? You're left with $60,000, right? But you're being taxed on that $100,000, right? So now let's say that $60,000 that you had was 20%, but let's say that $100,000 put you at a tax rate of 35%. So you're being taxed at a higher rate now on more income. So that's $35,000, right? But you really only have $60,000 because 40 of that was spent on expenses and your product, right? So now you, instead of you having what did I say? 6, 12. What's 12 minus? That's 30, 48. So instead of you having $48,000 left over after taxes, like Biscuits does, you have, what is that? 35,000 minus 60. So you have $25,000 left over. Same businesses, same setup, less money to make it. Now I oversimplified that. I used made up numbers, but that's the thing. Cannabis or marijuana businesses, so businesses that sell recreational use marijuana or medical marijuana, right? They're being taxed unfairly. And the tax is high at the state, local, town level, and then they get hit with 280E at the federal level. And so when you're a social equity applicant, when you're the producer, when you're that mixtape artist trying to make it in a world where you don't look like most of the industry, where you have you're running a race where there's a 30-minute head start. The fees are more complex. The fees are more costly. Finding a location is much more harder. There's a lot going on. And how do you keep your mental health together to say, no, this is what I want to do, and I want to survive in this. This is what they're facing. So we want to give all our social equity license holders, social equity applicants out there trying to make it a big Cannabruhz stamp of approval. Because it's all love from here. Us being a minority-owned brand, we don't have the same struggles because we're on the ancillary side, but it's hard for us. And so if it's hard for us, we know it's 10 times, 20 times harder for you all. So you have our love, you have our support, and hey, we wish y'all much success going forward. And with that, it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Catch y'all next week. Bow.
Welcome to the show, welcome to the show. Here to give you knowledge that you didn't know. Put you on some game, now you got a buzz. You are now listening to Cannabruhz.